Hello, Dr. John here, and if you know anything about me, I've always been into fitness. Even though I've had my setbacks at times with, injuries and different things. In fact, just recently, in the process of moving a heavy couch, getting my large room in our home ready for floor sanding and such, I was moving furniture and actually tweaked an inguinal hernia. So that was in January. I wound up having to have surgery, inguinal repair, in June. So for me, not being able to exercise is huge. I'm a very active person. And it actually surprised me as much as I've done and will continue to do that actually happened to me. But that's the way it is. You move forward. You never retreat, you just move forward in another direction. So here's the thing. How did I overcome this little bit of a setback? Well, 2 weeks prior to my surgery, I was exposed to a form of training, a modification, if you will, an application of restrictive bands that go around your upper extremity, up near your armpit, and your thighs, up near your groin area, that you inflate. Blood flow resistance training. The name of the bands and the company behind them is called B3 Bands. It's phenomenal stuff. If you want to learn more about it, you can go to drjohn.b3bands.com, drjohn.b3bands.com. But what these bands do is they afford resistance to blood flow on its return back to the heart. It doesn't apply like a true tourniquet effect where you're cutting the blood flow off. That can be quite dangerous. In fact, detrimental. You got to be very careful. But this science is figured out. There's baffles in the bands. You inflate them to specific pressures, and you're trained with certain protocols. So it is safe. It's been shown not to increase arterial pressure, nor to apply stress to the myocardium, the heart muscle itself. But what it does do is it lowers the amount of oxygen in the muscles you're training. And when that happens, you reach a threshold called the lactate threshold much sooner, with less effort, with less load, and more safety. Safety is the biggest thing when it comes to exercising. An exercise program that hurts you is obviously not sustainable. Therefore, your results will not be sustainable. In fact, your overall adaptability and health will diminish if you keep hurting yourself. I should know, I played rugby. Don't confuse sports with exercise. So the idea is not to lift as much weight as you can as many times as you can. Your goal is to inroad into the muscle's adaptive capacity, sending a signal neurologically and biochemically back to the brain. And in the case of blood flow resistance training, when you hit that lactate threshold, that burn, if you will, in the muscles, the biochemistry of that burn comes back to your brain, and the pituitary gland senses it and then dumps growth hormone into the system. So even if you're debilitated, if you have compromised joint function, you can put these bands on, do lighter exercise, get the burn going, benefit from the growth hormone, which is all-encompassing. A panacea of good things happen in your body when you get this blood growth hormone going. Not synthetic, that's toxic. This is natural growth hormone your body produces. So blood flow resistance training with B3 bands, merely putting them on and walking, doing light band exercises, multiple sets and of higher reps with lighter load, enables you to tap in like you were training super heavy, super intense, which I've done. But I'm finding now that at age 65, that's a little harder to do. My goal up until January was to always be able to leg press twice my body weight, like 330 pounds for at least 20 to 22 repetitions. Then I would strip it immediately to 250 and do another 12 to 15. I figured if I could do that as I aged, I would have a buffer of strength that would enable me to get off the toilet, on and off the toilet without assistance as I aged. Forget about climbing Mount Kilimanjaro or running a marathon. I want to get off the toilet and on it without help. Otherwise, you're in assisted living. Well, having this inguinal hernia deal, I had to redo things. And fortunately, this type of training came into my life 2 weeks before my surgery. So I haven't leg pressed yet, but I've been walking, I've been doing band exercises, getting that burn going, and I've maintained fitness, and I've even put on some muscle in the meantime, training lighter. But when I go back to leg pressing again in about 4 more weeks, I'm going to then leg press with half the weight I was using before. So instead of 330, 160, 165, more about my body weight. It's going to be easier on my joints. Even though my speed of motion, my path of motion, and range of motion were spot on with the heavier load, as you get older, there's less tolerance with your joints. And there's nothing more that will limit your health as you age than joint health. If you can't move, your heart, your lungs, your respiratory system, your muscular system, your glandular system has no feedback or demand or meaning. If you don't give your brain a reason to stay in the game, it will atrophy. Put your arm in a cast, 6 weeks, that's what happens. Take the arm out of the cast, immediately you start moving, the brain senses demand and then will allocate resources to build you back again. So blood flow resistance training has enabled me to train lightly, safely, as I recover from inguinal hernia surgery, and I'll continue to do this even once I'm fully recovered. I will always strength train the rest of my life. There's nothing more bigger bang for the buck in terms of prolonging your youth or getting older slower than strength training done correctly. So B3 bands, look on the website, drjohn.b3sciences.com. That's drjohn.b3sciences.com. Go on our website, jmurraychiropracticnj.com. That's jmurraychiropracticnj.com. See a lot of useful stuff. Chiropractic keeps your joints functioning. Exercise gives it a reason to keep going. All right? Have a great day. If I'm doing this stuff, you should too, because I have nothing in it except to help you. Have a great day.